It's time for the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU, the official local sports show here in Glasgow and Barron County. And now, alongside John Butler, here is your host, James Brown.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag. James Brown and John Butler here. We were not here last Monday. I took a week off, John. I decided to go do something else in my life.
You deserved it.
That's what I try to do at the end of basketball season. I'm sorry. But anyway, we're presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, and we are usually here every week on WCLU from 4 to 5 p.m. talking about local sports. We're not going to talk about local sports out the gate this week, though, John. We're going to talk about the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and I'm sure everybody on the planet has already discussed this game that happened last night between UCONN and Duke. But I've got to admit, I've seen some wild finishes to games, and I've seen some games get blown by either coaching mistakes or player mistakes. You know, there's the old Chris Webber calling a timeout when Michigan didn't have a timeout kind of situation. There are some historic moments in the NCAA tournament, and Duke managed to hand the world another one. But it wouldn't have been effective if the guy had not hit a 35-foot three-pointer or so whatever it was for UConn in order for UConn to win the game 73-72. I mean, it had all the things you could possibly want in a game.
Yeah, give UConn a lot of credit. They were down 19 in the second half to a number one seed.
Yeah.
And they came back.
Yeah.
So, and anytime you have these comebacks, you know, I've said this before, it takes both sides to participate in these epic comebacks.
Yeah.
The team behind has to play almost perfectly, not perfectly, but they have to chip away, and that's what, you know, UConn didn't outscore Duke like 20-0.
Right. They had no big run.
So, you know, they kind of chipped away and so forth. And Duke, on the other hand, the team that's ahead, 19, has to make some mistakes and able to allow a team to come back. And it was a combination of UConn was first. They were at one time 1 of 18 from three.
Yeah,
and they were 4 out of their last 5 from three. You know, things like that. And Duke, who did not turn the ball over a ton, I think they had maybe 12 turnovers, maybe 10. Not a ton of turnovers, but they made some in late in the second half at some critical times.
Yeah, they had 2 in the last minute and a half that basically were pretty damaging for them.
One where Cam Boozer dribbled it off his foot.
Yeah.
That was about a minute 20. I think they were up 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And they could have gone up, 6 or 7 and didn't get a shot, dribbled it off his foot, and UConn took it down and got an and one off that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, his brother, the turnover at the very end, too. So it's I always have I have compassion for these things, in my opinion. You know, you got so many people that dislike Duke that, they just crave these things. Regardless to me who wins or loses, I'll always feel bad for the team that loses because you'll never, ever, those kids and that coach will never forget that loss. The great thrill that UConn had is not going to equal the crushing loss that Duke had. And in my opinion, with Duke, a lot of people, especially Kentucky fans, dislike Duke so much because they've had some kind of classic villains in the past. Christian Laettner was kind of a villain turd. They've had some other guys, J.J. Redick and Grayson Allen. They've had some other guys who are not real likable. But
they make good villains.
But the last 2 teams they've had, I think they've had good dudes. I think the Boozer kids are really good kids.
Yeah.
Flag from last year.
Yeah.
Seemed like a great kid, and so was the kid that was drafted to play for Charlotte. John Shire, to me, seems to be a really good dude overall.
Yeah.
So, I don't have quite that animosity or whatever, but that's a tough way to lose. I mean, it's a really, really tough way to lose the lead, and then you think once you get the ball in bounds, with 10 seconds to go, you kind of, the big thing you've got to get in bounds.
Yeah.
That they're up to, and they got it in bounds. So then you start to think you really got a really good shot at winning. And then the way that unfolded the turnover, and then the 3 from about 40 feet.
Yeah.
Tough way to lose.
I think it's one of those situations. If you are a Duke fan, it's one thing. If you're a player, it's one thing. But it is this. You're up 72-70, like you said, with 10 seconds left. The hardest thing you have to do is get the ball in bounds. And usually once that happens, what is going to happen is the other team is going to foul you.
They tried to.
And they did.
And this is where I credit Duke. And I'm a little confused at times by the criticism that the players are getting by some esteemed people I see on TV. One person on TV, a former NBA player, said that when Cam Boozer first caught it in, now it's like 9.2, he should have just held it and got fouled.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're saying he's got to make both free throws, and now there's still 9.2.
Yeah.
I don't think you just hold it and get fouled. I think he made the right read. He passed it, which took off more time.
Yeah.
And then the next guy caught it. And guess what he did before he got fouled?
He passed
it again.
Yeah.
To Boozer's brother. Now, here's where the big debate would be. Should Boozer, the brother, Cade, I think, Boozer, should he have just caught it and just held it and got fouled with 4 seconds ago? Well, that would be the safe thing. Mm-hmm. He still has to make 2 free throws.
Yes.
Okay. If he only makes 1 out of 2, 4.8 seconds from that far is a lot of time. You can dribble it all the way down and get a 3. Mm-hmm. He had another choice about maybe when there was 5 UConn players on his end of the floor, and there's 2 wide open teammates on the other end. I mean, wide open.
One on each side.
Wide open.
Yes.
Nobody
on
back
them.
there.
Nope.
Is just to make the correct pass, he has to throw it high up in the air.
Yeah.
And then the game is over. You don't have to shoot a free throw.
That's right.
I thought he made the right call, but he made the wrong pass.
Yes. The defenders, as it worked out, were between him and his sight line to the runner on the right side of the court.
Right.
The guy on the left side of the court was wide open, and there was nobody in front of him. Mm-hmm. But, of course, this is where you're making that decision under duress,
right.
Because it was almost like, even though, yes, he's one of their better players, when the ball hit his hand, he actually looked a little bit panicked when the ball hit his hands. But you're right. The play that Duke drew up to beat that, to ensure there was no foul.
Tremendous design.
It was, and it was wide open. Mm-hmm. He just tried to throw it on the wrong side. But at the same time.
And too flat.
Yeah, and too flat. But at the same time, you got 2 UConn guys who are also having to make these decisions at that moment. There's no thinking. Mm-hmm. It's all the guy from UConn just jumps into the air and manages to touch the ball.
Right.
Then the ball comes down to a guy from UConn. The clock is running down. The first guy who gets the ball doesn't take the shot. He actually passes it. Back out.
Yeah.
And that guy takes the shot.
Well, here's the second. The first mistake was the pass. If I think he should have made the pass.
Yeah, just on the left side.
Or throwing it higher to the right
that's
side.
right.
I don't care which way. Just
throw it in
up,
the rafters.
Throw it up to the roof.
Yeah.
The second, if that is a mistake, the mistake was too flat or to the wrong person. Okay.
Yeah.
The second mistake is once UConn got it and they threw it back to the kid that made the shot, you got to get your hands up on the shot because he shot it from 40. Now, he shot it like a jump shot.
Yeah.
But he's much lower to get the ball up there.
Yeah.
And the guy's never even raised his hand.
No.
I mean, you don't want to foul, but you don't want to just give a wide open.
Strangely enough.
It's a 40-footer, but it's by their best shooter. And it's not – he didn't, shoot it granny style. He shot the ball. So, if you challenge it a little bit, he may even get a part of it or whatever.
Yeah.
But listen, it's a wild – scene of events, which makes it such a spectacular ending.
Yes.
And the criticism, the real unfair criticism is on the Duke coach. I don't know what he's supposed to do.
No, that play was perfectly designed.
Yeah,
they did everything.
He should have called timeout. Win.
Yeah.
Call timeout with 4 seconds when your third guy got it. And then what are you going to do? Take it back out again and try to get it in? You had the ball in the right spot.
You're asking that coach to have a premonition about what is about to happen, which is one of the most improbable things that could happen.
Yeah,
I don't know what the percentages are in these situations when you start doing percentages of things, but that one's got to be like in the 0.9 percentile out of 100.
I agree. Because even if you get a steal, you still got to make the shot.
Yes. Not only you got to make a shot, but the first guy passed up what most people would have taken, which would have been a bad shot, really, even in that situation. Right. He manages it to have the wherewithal to kick it to their best shooter, who then gets the shot off.
That's correct.
You know, I mean,
it was. So I've just been all day today when I've seen some of it. I've been at work, so I haven't got to see a lot of it. But last night, I keep thinking these are people on. Are you just? Can you just not say that? Listen, this was just an incredible play by UConn. And the pass was just was not the right type of pass,
right?
But to say to hold it, I don't know about that. You hold it, you still got to make the free throws and things like that. That's the safe thing. Everybody wants to be safe, I guess. It's just a safe thing to do. But
man, if that pass goes through, the game's over with.
The game's over.
Everything we never. Because of the improbability,
even questioned it.
Yeah, because of the improbability of the situation, it allows us the opportunity to critique things that are not really critiquable when you get right down to them.
And now my question is it going to be a teaching tool in the for next year's teams? You're going to show that next year to everybody next year's teams is when you get the pass and you're up 2 with 4.2 seconds to go, you're just supposed to hold it, swallow it.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, if I'm the coach who drew up that play, I'm like, you know what?
We'll take our chances.
Yeah, for real.
Maybe square up, instead of taking the dribble right into it. Maybe square up first a little bit. I don't know. There's little things like that.
There were things like that right there and that's why I said in a strangest sort of way, I know he's one of their good players as well.
He is. He had a fantastic game.
Yes, he did.
They had 4 freshmen on the floor, too.
That's right. It was a moment where you saw a player who saw the game. If I make this pass, this game's over with. But he had kind of already made a mistake of, as you said, dribbled to the defenders before he decided to make that play.
Right.
If he catches and probably makes even the pass that he tried to make right as he catches it, but maybe his guys weren't right in the correct position at that point in time.
Yeah.
Because, but again, man, there's no catch the ball. If you got to catch the ball and think about what you're going to do, you got to be able to make these instinctive moves. And so even
most good players, I'll just say that most good players instinctually know where.
Yeah.
I see these players up here. I've caught it, and there's 2 on me. That means there's nobody back.
That's right.
So it's kind of instinctual and so forth. But yeah, that was the game of the tournament because to be honest with you, there's hasn't been a ton of close games.
There's been some pretty good ones, but teams that have gotten a lead and kind of maintained that lead, whether that was maybe not a 10-point lead, but they've been more or less in control for much of the game.
And Michigan, Arizona, and even Illinois have looked extremely strong.
Yeah.
I mean, double-digit wins in almost every one of their games. So Michigan had to come back against Purdue.
Right.
But, again, they won by double digits.
Yeah.
And, it's been double-digit city for Illinois, Michigan, and Arizona.
Really, the only bracket that's not gone pretty much the way you would have anticipated coming in would be the South. And that's just because Iowa beat Florida, and then, of course, Illinois beat Houston. And Houston played in that game.
Terrible.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they played in that game like the team we.
But that was the one bracket everybody could see.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida was vulnerable where they played late in the year.
Yeah.
And you talking about a coaching mistake. Now, that's if you want to blame a coach for a coaching mistake, it's the Iowa game.
Right.
That was a tremendous mistake. Coaching-wise, player-wise, and everything. When you're up 2, coming off a timeout.
Yep.
With 4 seconds to go, and you trail the player. Defensively, they trailed him.
Yeah, they just chased him down the court.
They chased him. All you got to do, what you want to do is keep him in front of you.
Yeah.
And then you dribble it out that way. But he got caught on his backside, and then they rotated up to stop him, and they kicked it to a wide open player in the corner.
Yeah.
Who down to the last thing you want to do when you're up 2 is to give up a wide open 3.
This is something that's.
And then after the game, the Florida coach said this at his press conference. I watched it 5 times. I couldn't believe what he said. He said, "Yeah, we were supposed to foul." Foul. You're up 2.
That was the wrong answer too.
You're up 2 with no fouls to give.
Yeah, don't leave the shooter.
I think he made that up.
I do too. Yeah, that sounds like
he made that up.
Yeah.
Nobody fouls.
No.
Nobody fouls. You foul and just put them at the line where they can tie you?
Yeah.
Nobody does that. So
the difference between 2 and 3 and making a foul is huge.
And listen, Todd Golden's a great coach. Won it last year.
Yeah.
I mean, got a little confidence for sure.
Yeah.
But the design, however, whatever they did defensively was terrible. But to tell me they were supposed to foul, I don't buy that. I think he completely made that up.
That almost sounds like he made an excuse for his player who was not in the right position defensively on the inbounds.
Or an excuse for himself, but that doesn't make sense to make an excuse for himself. That's too dumb.
Yeah, that's why I said I think it makes it seem like he's making an excuse for that player, but the excuse he makes is actually also blaming the player.
I guess, yeah.
But because the right answer is, man, my guy was just in the wrong place. We played defensive the wrong way.
Right.
Now, maybe he wanted to say we were supposed to foul because he drew up the defense that way, and then after the game's over with, he realized, well, that was a dumb defense. But here's the other thing that still kind of blows my mind in these situations, talking about making an instinctive plays and this kind of stuff. The three-pointer is the better scoring opportunity, especially if you got a drive and a kick. And so I still marvel at the amount of times that people help on a drive defense and actually leave the shooter in the short corner open on that defense instead of kind of sweeping the defense from the backside and making the pass have to go the other direction.
Not supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, but how many times do we see this? Defenders collapsing on the front side. It's like blitzing on the side of the quarterback, who, a right-handed quarterback bringing the blitz from their face where they can see you.
Yeah, the more I've watched this the last so many years, if I was up 2 or 3 or something, generally 3, I'm not sure you don't play a spread out 3-2 zone.
Yeah,
you just cover the perimeter.
Yeah,
you can have whatever you want to inside.
Yeah, if you can hit that little jumper in the lane, which nobody can shoot really anymore, then you can have that all day.
Right.
I'll let you have that jumper in the lane all day. You will not kick it to the short corners at all.
Right.
And probably not going to get an elbow shot either if we can help it.
Yep.
That is a part that does kind of amaze me. Meanwhile, on the Louisville side, they got to the round of 32, right? And then
both Louisville and Kentucky won one game.
Yeah.
Kentucky on a miracle.
That's right.
The half-court heave by
yes.
Ortega.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like 6 months ago, didn't it?
It was 6 months ago because then they got smoked by Iowa State.
They got smoked.
So, I mean, was that their worst loss in the tournament? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And then Louisville
was competitive against Michigan State. It was Michigan State that beat Louisville.
That's right.
Yeah, they were competitive for a while.
Yeah.
But then they got both teams exited quite quickly.
Yeah. And then on the women's side, both Louisville and Kentucky lost in the Sweet 16.
They got to the final 16.
Yeah.
But both did not play well. I was disappointed in Louisville's performance, and Kentucky was never in it against a really good Texas team.
Yeah. I thought that Louisville-Michigan game was going to be a good one.
I did too. That's what I was disappointed.
And then, meanwhile, the women's tournament is –
still got 2 more games tonight before they get to the Final Four.
Is it going pretty much as you expected?
Yeah, I mean, UConn.
Yeah.
UCLA, 2 top seeds, and if South Carolina and Texas wins tonight, then you'll have 4 number 1 seeds, which is very normal in the women's game.
Yep. Nothing surprising. Anything else on these NCAA tournaments?
No. It's been, like I said, it's been okay. Mm-hmm. It's been okay. I've seen better. I mean, the Duke game makes it, even that thrill, and for the UK people, the Santa Clara win, how that was won kind of adds a lot of excitement to it.
Real quick, I'm going to tell you this. So I was on a boat, and they had a sports bar on the boat. And so on, I guess it was Thursday night, is that when Arkansas played, was Thursday night? Mm-hmm. And I'm in there. I think everybody from Arkansas was on that boat, because they were all packed in there watching that game, and I was sitting there with this guy who's from Montgomery, Alabama, and I told him, I said, to be honest with you, I hope they get killed tonight. And the funny thing was, this guy next to me had been talking about how great Calipari was, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I told him, I was from Kentucky, and he goes, oh, okay. And he goes, well, he did a really good job at Kentucky until, the last little while. I was like, yeah. I said, but he's kind of the same cat everywhere he is. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, UMass, he had a great player. They went as far as they could go. Memphis, they went 10 for 27, I think, at the foul line in the national title game and lost. I said, his teams always find a way to flame out in the tournament except once. And he goes, I guess I hadn't really kept up with him. I said, he'll break your heart. And then they got beat by 20 that night, and I saw him the next day. I said, how you feeling about Calipari now? He goes, well, he's a heck of a recruiter.
Yeah, he is.
I thought to myself, 20 years they've been saying that in Kentucky.
Yep.
All right, that's all I got. This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Welcome home to Local Sports with James Brown and the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag. James Brown, John Butler, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. Since the last time we met, there's been a lot of baseball played, at least by Glasgow, John.
Yeah, they're on the Major League Tour.
They are 2 weeks in the season. They played 9 games.
6-3. That's a good start.
It is. I mean, especially, here's the thing. They're 6-3 through 9 games, and if you've played 9 games in 2 weeks, you've played every pitcher that you could possibly put on the mound. So that's even more impressive, really, when you get right down to it.
Yeah, and outside of, Warren Central, that's, Warren Central's terrible.
Yeah.
But outside of that, all the teams have been, pretty decent.
Yeah, and they've won a couple of epics. They beat Franklin Simpson the first time they played them in 10 innings. And then they turned around and beat Metcalfe County in 14 innings. So really they've played 10 games. If you look at the number of innings they played,
right?
Above. That's 10 extra innings.
Well, they beat their last 2 games. They beat Franklin 5-4.
Yep.
I think Carter Hodges got the win.
Yep.
One hitter. And then they beat Warren East 4-0. And I think Peyton Limley got went 6 innings, no runs, and so forth. Now, that was not a district game, right?
No.
Was that?
That was in 2A sectional. They played the 2 games at Hart County.
Okay. All right. So they won the sectional.
Yep.
2A.
That's right.
Okay.
They'll play in Owensboro
okay.
on April 17th at 3 o'clock at Apollo High School against the winner of Section 8, which is like Lawrence County, Johnson Central, that kind of jazz.
Okay.
So, I'm sure you'll be glued to your seat for that one.
That stuff doesn't impress me. What impresses me, though, is to beat Franklin and East.
Yes.
That impresses me. I'll be honest with you, I don't really
especially
care
in the
about
same day.
Yeah, I don't
going
really
back
care
to that
about
pitching
the
thing.
single A, 2A,
Yeah,
all
right.
that stuff doesn't really interest me. But those are 2 good wins because those are 2 good programs.
Right.
And to knock those 2 teams off, that's good. They lost 7-6 to a good Greene County team, and I can say they're good from Greene because I know they are. They got a good team, so that wasn't a bad loss and so forth. So they've got like I said, that's a lot of games to play early, but they took it. In baseball in high school, you got to play when the weather allows you to play.
Yes, that's right.
You don't know.
And they did have a beautiful week to play last week, overall.
Right.
One of the things about the Scotties coming into the season, which I didn't really think about at the end of last season, they pretty much had all but one starting pitcher back.
Right.
And I knew Carter Hodges was coming back. Peyton Limley had pitched some last year. And I think the key has been, guys like Garrett Shields coming in there and pitching. But last year, if we recall, and I'd forgotten about this, my son mentioned this when I talked to him earlier today, Glasgow gave up, I think, 2.3 runs per game last year, but only scored 2.1. So, their pitching and defense was good last year. Their problem was they just couldn't manufacture runs behind that. And that seems to be the key to kind of what's going on now. Their defense is still solid as it was. Their pitching is still solid, but now they're starting to figure out how to get some runs. And if you look at some of their games, they've played some tight games, but they've won those tight games as well, with the exception of that Greene County game, which they lost that one. I guess Greene County walked that one off over there. That was their second game of the season. So you look at it, they're figuring out how to win these tough games this year, which is what they've struggled at the last couple of years.
Yeah, and it's hard. Like I said, generally with, when you're talking about baseball and softball, it kind of takes to after spring break to kind of get a feel about who's can do what and so forth. But
right.
But for the first 2 weeks, I would say obviously it's a good start.
Yep.
Rather be 6-3 and 3-6.
That's right. Yeah, that momentum helps no matter what. And then of course, Barron County they played 4 games. I think it was 5 games. Yeah, that's right.
3.
That's right. 2 and 3. They played 5 games.
4 Kentucky schools.
Yeah, and then one out of Liberty Creek in Gallatin, Tennessee. Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's who they opened with, and then they lost that one down there on a walk-off. Not played too poorly, I don't think, in these games. They've played some tough teams. You're talking about Russell County in there and Franklin Simpson as well.
Yeah, Russell County, they lost 4-2. They lost to Franklin 5-2. Cameron Crawford went 6 in that one. That was and then their last game, which last week, I don't know if it's on Saturday or what, but they defeated Grayson County, who's normally decent in baseball, 14-1. Skylar Potter went 5 in that one. I think Gavin Coffey was 3 for 3.
Yeah.
And Barron also has good pitching.
That's right.
I mean, Crawford and Potter have been pitching forever.
Yeah, they have.
And I think they're both seniors now.
Uh-huh.
So, they've got a big 2 at the top of their rotation, too. And anytime those 2 pitch, they got a real good shot at winning.
Yeah, and I think Gavin Coffey also is back pitching this year. So he was – I think he was in and out of the lineup maybe with injuries, but he has some experience as well. So their biggest thing that they, of course, lost since last season was the middle infield. Where
they lost a lot of hitting.
They lost a lot of hitting. They lost a lot of experience at the top end of the lineup with Jackson Reese and the Hyde brothers. So they lost a lot of experience in that way. And also, I say the middle of the infield, basically they lost, second base. They lost shortstop and center field if you look at the defense. Mm-hmm. Now, they bring back a lot of the other guys that they had out there. But, of course, those dudes had a lot of experience and played well, all, college signees. And so, that's something I'm sure Coach Estes and those guys will be able to take care of that as the season goes along. But they may be a little more up and down in terms of the lineup. I mean, even though you get the workout during the season, off season and all that, you still have to get in the rhythm of playing the games, right, John?
That's right. In 2 weeks, 5 games. It's not, that's not a ton of games yet. So we'll see. Like I said, I think after spring break is when you kind of got an indication of probably who's strong, who's not.
Yeah, I do. This week we will get a preview of Glasgow and Barron County playing the same team because Glasgow's hosting Hazard on Wednesday, and then Barron hosts them on Friday.
I guess be spring break up there or something, or what?
I guess they're spring breaking at the lake, I guess, this year. Okay. I don't know.
Or on their way to Florida, maybe.
Yeah, it could be that. Sometimes teams do that, right? They stop off and play a game on the way down. And also Glasgow is playing Greenwood today at 6 o'clock, and you can hear that game on 103.1 WCLU Blue with Joe Myers on the call beginning at 5:45. And then tomorrow, Glasgow plays an interesting game to me in the sense that they're going and playing over at Caverna. Caverna's got the same coach back again this year, Nick Irwin, and so he's really working to try to get them going. So I guess Glasgow said, yeah, we'll come over there and play a game against you. And then they host Cumberland County on Thursday. Barron, they host Lawrence County today at 5:30. Then they have a bunch of home games this week. They host Logan County tomorrow. That'll be a good one. They host Taylor on Thursday. That'll be a good one. And I mentioned they host Hazard on Friday.
Yeah, there must be some teams on spring break. Lawrence County, that's probably 3.5 hours away.
Yeah, that's right.
So they must be.
They're in that Section 8.
Okay. All right. Yeah, they're a long way away. So to be down here on a Monday is they've got to have no school or something.
Yeah, maybe they decided not to go to Florida. Maybe those teams are not going to Florida. They're just coming, like I said, vacationing at the lake or something.
Taylor County's a top 10 team in the state.
Yeah, so this is a good week for the Trojans. We'll see.
They got a kid that signed with Kentucky.
Yeah.
Pitcher.
Right.
McLean. Big time.
So what else? Anything else stand out for you for the first couple of weeks of high school baseball?
No, they've just been fortunate to have good weather. Where teams have been able to play and so forth. And it looks like this week they want to have some more good weather.
Yeah. So
dodge the rain, but it's supposed to be in the 80s the next couple of days.
Well, that'll be nice. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to that. All right, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Welcome home to Local Sports with James Brown and the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. This is James Brown and John Butler, and we're going to talk a little high school softball. They also have had 2 weeks of action. Nobody's tried to play 9 games, though, during those 2 weeks. They've played a more regular schedule, I suppose. Barron County went 2-2 over the first 2 weeks. Of course, Daryl Murphy is back as the head coach for this season. And I guess the thing that stood out to me, there were 2 things. One is they lost pretty soundly to Allen County Scottsville last week, but then they turned around and beat Taylor 7-6. So I'm not sure if Allen may just be that good compared to everybody else in the district this year. I'm not 100% certain. I would think they should be the best team in the district just because of the experience they have coming back. but I was a little surprised that game was as lopsided as it was, John.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to take. They've only played 4 games in 2 weeks. So that's not a lot of games, to be honest with you. So they started off with their scores has just been they beat Pulaski 11-2. I don't know how good Pulaski is, to be honest with you. They lost to a real good Greenwood team 7-0. Greenwood's second best team in the region.
Yeah,
them or Allen probably. Then they lost to Allen 12-5, and then they beat Taylor, and Taylor's normally pretty decent, 7-6. So, I know they have Shea Bogue back.
Yep, she's pitched all 4 games,
and she's pitched all year. I mean, the last
2 seasons, I guess.
3 seasons, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got Josie Moore and Shirley back, and so they do have some of their players are back. I've gone blank on some of the other ones, but so they do have some experience back. But like I said, I don't know. They haven't played enough games for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
For me to find out what they're good at, what they're not good at. Just 2 games a week is not a lot,
right?
So they're going to have to get into some rhythm and play some games and so forth like that, where you can kind of get a feel for who they are right now.
I would say right now the thing that kind of stands out to me is they did lose what I would consider to be 2 team leaders off of last season. One beating Katie Elmore, a leader at the plate in terms of like her batting and that kind of thing. And then Briley Adala, who was a field leader. I mean, she was a good bat as well. She played catcher, but she also seemed to be the person who was the team motivator, and the team organizer and that kind of stuff. And of course, the year before that, they had Katie Murphy, who was all of that together as well. So if you look over the last couple of seasons,
they've had a lot of changes.
Yeah, they've lost.
Coach Murphy back on an interim basis.
Yeah,
that's some getting back some of that stability.
Right.
Where he's done it for a long time and so forth. But yeah, I think with Barron, I think right now there's just a little bit of some unknowns in one sense, but there's known in the sense that, Coach Murphy knows what he's doing, and Shea Bogue has been very reliable throughout the year. So I think as the year goes on, when they start to get into a routine of playing, I think you're going to see a team that's going to be pretty good. But right now just 2 games each week, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I thought the Glasgow Lady Scotties actually had a pretty good couple of weeks to start with.
They played 6 games.
Yeah,
and they're 2-4.
Right. They lost to Franklin twice, one 5-4 and one 9-7. But they had a good comeback win over Hart County. And I think what I saw at the couple of games I was able to catch before I was gone was a team that's playing with a little more confidence. Even when they were behind, they still competed as if they thought they could win the game, and it panned out a couple of times and didn't pan out a couple of times. So
and they lost to Cumberland County 4-3. I don't think Cumberland County's lost.
They've lost one game. I think they're like 10-1.
They're for real. So that may be their best game of all. They've knocked off Hart and Monroe. Monroe's generally not real strong. Neither's Hart, but their losses to Franklin 5-4 and 9-7, and Cumberland 4-3. The only blowout was Bowling Green.
Yeah.
So there's no question that Glasgow, they got some guys over there coaching that knows what they're doing. Coach Murphy and Sam Royce. So
Stephen Murphy said they have to be the oldest coaching staff in the state.
So they're going to be prepared. And as long as the kids hang in there and listen to them, they're going to get better.
Yeah.
And they are extremely young. Against Franklin, their last game against Franklin in the 2A, in which they lost 5-4, they started 7 freshmen and 8th graders.
Yes.
They're two pitchers. Kerrigan Hagen's a freshman, and
Ava Maxey.
Ava Maxey, 8th grader.
Yeah.
So they're extremely young. Obviously, they got a couple of juniors that you Lightfoot, I think is a junior, right?
Jakiley Green and Kayla Kirkpatrick.
Okay. Those are your juniors.
Yeah. Everybody else is freshman or
8th grade.
Yeah.
Okay. So, they've got a lot of room to improve. They've got the people that are coaching them can improve them.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of promise for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for him in this sense. Talking about the kind of odd year it is for Barron County softball at the moment. If you look at Glasgow, I mean, they've kind of. If you look after the situation when everybody lost their spring in 2020, I know it's been 6 years ago now, but they had a group that was coming into that should have been a pretty good group of players. And then since then, they just had a young group behind them, and it just never really panned out. They changed coaches.
Glasgow's been on the struggle bus for a
while.
Yeah,
and so this is a group that looks to have the talent and the coaching combined with it right now that it could be a pretty good little stretch for
Here's
them.
what they need. They got to have patience.
That's right. That's right.
And that's not just from players. That's parents and everybody involved.
Yes.
They've got the right people behind them, the structure.
Yep.
But, they gotta let the coaches do their job.
Right.
And if they let them do their job and the players are good listeners, they have an opportunity down the road. I'm not saying this year, but down the road to develop into a really good team.
That's right.
But there's a lot of butts in there.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work.
Patience and let the coaches do their job because they got the right people behind them.
Yeah.
It was the same thing, when Barron with Coach Murphy, he had a real young team and they've developed and got better and better and better and better and better. You could see that structure. You could see that train starting to really develop.
Right.
Well, Glasgow's got that chance.
Right.
But you got to have some patience.
Yep. Your former classmate over there, coaching the Caverna Lady Colonels, they opened their season 5-0. John.
Yeah, I was proud of Pete. I ran into him at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had that. I think as a transfer pitcher.
Yeah, she was there a few years ago, and she moved back for her senior year.
Right, and she's made a big difference. She throws strikes.
Yeah.
And so they got off to a good start. Then they went to Greene County and got swept over there. But I don't think that surprised Pete.
I mean, look, if you look at it, they lost 14-4 and 14-0. If you look back at some recent comparisons of Greene County, they didn't get out of the third inning. These were both fifth inning games. So, you kind of have to look at it and say, that's not bad, really.
They're getting better, and they beat Metcalf. I do know that, and they've, he's developed a schedule which I think is perfect for them.
Yeah.
When you have lost as many years as they've lost, you have to find hope somewhere.
Yep.
And finding teams that you can compete with, and they've gotten off to that start, a team that's just so desperate to get to gain confidence. Getting off to a 5-0 start is exactly what they need.
Yep.
And now they just have to keep improving.
Yeah, I think their next game is at Edmonson County. It's either today or tomorrow. I'd say it's
traditionally, it would have been a tough one for them.
Yeah.
But I don't, but who knows? I don't know anything about Edmonson County this year.
Yeah, me neither. But with the way that they've played at the start of the season, even the losses to Greene County were not bad losses, comparatively speaking, because Greene's usually really good.
They're okay.
Yeah.
They're not great this year.
Are they not?
No, they're not. Cumberland beat them 21-6.
Ooh. Well, look, I told some folks before this softball season started, we were talking about different teams to look at and that kind of stuff, and I told them, I said, none of them had mentioned Cumberland. I said, pay attention to Cumberland County. You've got the same group of kids. They've been good at everything they do out there playing softball, and if you look at them, they're all built to be softball players. They're good basketball players, but a lot of them are really good softball players too, and I think they got a pretty good coach.
Yep.
And I think they've got his daughter, I think, is one of the pitchers, and I don't know that she plays basketball, and so she's kind of a secret.
Craft.
Yeah. And so she's kind of a secret, and I was like, you need to pay attention to them. They'll be pretty good.
I agree.
Anything else on the high school softball front, John?
No, same as baseball.
Yeah. And also, it's South Warren.
That's right.
As Warren Central was destiny in boys basketball, South Warren is destiny in softball.
I would think that's safe to say.
Yeah. All right. This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Welcome home to Local Sports with James Brown and the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag. James Brown, John Butler, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. One thing that happened on the day that I was going to get on the boat was the boys state championship, semifinals and finals. Still blows my mind. Those things are on the same day, one series in the morning, and then at night you get the championship game. I guess it's always been done that way, so that's why they still do it that way.
They switched a couple years ago to play. They tried the Saturday and then come back for the Sunday.
Yeah.
And they did that, I think, for a couple of years, but they didn't draw very well.
Yeah, so that killed the attendance. But
yeah, I mean, and with the cost of rooms in Lexington,
yeah,
paying that many days.
Yeah. I think, meanwhile, George Rogers Clark won the boys' championship. They beat St. X in the boys' championship. And I don't know, was George Rogers Clark the team that was one of the teams that people thought might win it when the season started? Do you think that was the case?
They've been in the top 10 all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. No, St. X was the team to beat.
Yeah.
Who got beat in the finals.
Right.
After beating probably the second best team to start off the tournament, which was it Cooper or Newport Catholic? One of those two ninth region teams. That was, they were considered the top two teams up there. And then they just destroyed everybody after that. And then in the finals is one of those 41-37, just awful games, something like that. Just a slugfest. And so I would think it's probably an upset. St. X was considered the favorite the last couple years.
Yeah, I guess
George Rogers Clark did something that I don't know if it's been done in the past. They doubled up. They won the girls and boys state tournament.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's happened before.
That's a good question.
I mean, clearly it hadn't happened lately because Sacred Heart has been winning the girls. So there's not a Sacred Heart boys school.
I'm wondering in the 2020 when Ashland went in undefeated and the Ashland Lady Tomcats, is that what they're called? Were they considered?
Well, they didn't win it.
No, I didn't. But they didn't because they didn't play the tournament, right?
Okay.
But there was one of those where they thought those might be ones that might have a chance. It was either them or E-Town one year, where both the boys and girls were good, but it didn't work out. I was trying to think of the last time anybody even said these teams could possibly, win the boys and the girls. So what did you think about the boys tournament overall?
I didn't go. So it tells you what I thought about it. Very low scoring.
Yeah.
Attendance was not very good. I mean, they had a couple sessions under 10,000, which is rare. I think the finals only had like 9,200.
Really?
11,000 maybe.
What's the seating for Rupp Arena, you
23.
think? Okay.
22, 23. I mean, they'll normally throw in a 15, 16,000 at least to one session, but it all depends sometimes on matchups. A lot of the private schools don't have a big following.
Yeah.
So
you need large county schools in there.
It helps, They we're looking at excuses. They went against the first round of the NCAA tournament on that Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
So you had Kentucky and Louisville and all those playing in it. I think it's too expensive. I think that's a problem, and I'm not a big fan of how they got it set up. Where the first game is at 10 and the second game is at 12:30.
Yeah.
The night sessions is at 5 and 7:30. So what I mean by that is there's a huge gap not in between sessions. There have always been the gaps in between sessions where you can go eat and come back.
Right.
Now there's gaps in between games.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, so because it's not a rolling start, so that first game is going to start when it starts, and that second game is going to start when it starts,
right.
No matter what the first game.
And for the whole state tournament history up until now they've been doing this for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's they'd play the second game, they'd clean the bench and put 25 minutes on the clock and let's go.
Yeah,
and now they've made the experience to me. It's not real fan friendly, in my opinion.
I guess if you are
it's expensive.
Yeah, if you are the fan of a team and you want to make sure you make it to your game, then that's great. But
no excuse, because everybody knows that, because most games anymore are boy-girl doubleheaders.
Yeah, right.
And if the girls' game starts at 6. The next game's going to start 25 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
So
somewhere around 7:30.
That's right. So you just show up.
Yep.
And
but I was going to say the thing about that I've always heard about the state tournament, the boys' state tournament specifically, is that it's the whole experience of the people who have been lifers going to
Right.
the state tournament
Yeah. And now
and
it's-
seeing all the games and catching everything. And so really
agree.
that state tournament's not about the individual teams. It has more of a draw to the people who don't really care about the teams that are in there. They're interested in the spectacle of the
Yeah,
tournament.
and that's the experience I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They don't want to sit around an hour between games.
Yeah.
They want to come there and they want to go to the first session and watch both games,
Uh-huh.
then go get something to eat and come back, and here's 2 games. Let's go.
Right.
But not watch a game and then do nothing for 45 minutes to an hour. Literally, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not a good experience.
No, and then the other thing, going back to what you just said about the expense of it, used to whole families would go there for all 4 or 5 days,
Yeah,
whatever
the
it was.
tickets are not that bad.
No, it's
It's
doing stuff in
okay.
Lexington.
Yeah, I mean, you can live with the tickets. It's the parking. It's the concessions, because when you're in between games, to get something to eat or drink, it's you have to give blood, plasma or whatever. So that's the expense.
Yeah.
And it's just to me, it's not fan friendly.
Yeah.
And I would tell a board member if they ask me what's going on or what's your gripe about it, I would I would tell them, listen, they're no different than the NCAA, and a lot of the coaches have a lot of very strong comments in the women's game against what's going on in the women's tournament as well.
Yeah, I think that's they are finding ways to strangle the actual on-site fan experience while pushing and promoting the people who are things for the people who are not actually there, who can get up from their couch and go eat out of the refrigerator, and then come back and put the TV on whatever channel they want it on if that's what they want to do. But meanwhile, if you're actually coming to the games and you're trying to absorb that experience, that's not as fan friendly as it used to be.
I agree 100%.
And I think that's when they look around and they say, well, I don't know why people didn't attend. It's part of that is that the people coming don't feel appreciated by the event that's being put forth before them. So they were like, hey, I got something else I can do, such as maybe watching on TV.
And it's a great event.
Yeah.
Just do it better.
Yeah. I go to lots of events that I see where there are things done well, and the KHSA and maybe even the NCAA should take some advice from those companies.
I agree.
All right, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU. Be sure to join James and John again next Monday at 4 for another edition of the Brown Sports Bag.